Hey everyone, today we're looking at the latest studio acquisition from Sony. Gran Turismo 7 is in some hot water, and the Switch finally has a much requested feature, albeit not quite how we wanted. All that and more on this edition of the Dear Listeners Newsroom. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Dear Listeners Newsroom, TRG's weekly news recap. My name is Micah Hendrick, and here are the top headlines for March 25th, 2022. 1 year ago this month, Sony announced the formation of Haven Studios, a Montreal-based developer led by former Assassin's Creed and EA Motive producer Jade Raymond. After a brief stint with the failed Google Stadia team, Raymond and many of her peers from Ubisoft Montreal and Google banded together to create a persistent and scalable online game for PS5 and PC. In an interview with GamesIndustry.biz last October, Raymond explained the basis for Haven's new game. Quote, "The pandemic has proven that gameplay is the social glue that binds communities, especially for the younger generation. This is what you do and how you make friends and hang out. That is something that we really want to build and design for. The second thing is thinking about the quote-unquote remix generation. It started a little while ago. There's this age of self-expression where we're designing our Nike ID shoes, we're reading our friends' blogs rather than what our professional journalists are writing. And I think that has continued to go further with things like TikTok," end quote. Video Games Chronicle reported in February that Haven is collaborating with PlayStation lead architect Mark Cerny to push the technical capabilities of the PS5 even further. After the acquisition, GamesIndustry.biz once again had the exclusive interview with Raymond and PlayStation Studios head Herman Hulst, and one question stood out above all others. Why acquire Haven Studios when Sony was already primed to exclusively launch their first game? Hulst explains, quote, "You're right. We could have just carried on the capacity of them being an external development partner, but what Haven has created is so exciting for us. There was just a desire to deepen that relationship. We've been very impressed with how Haven is coming together," end quote. Sony has traditionally acquired studios based on long-standing relationships, but this acquisition mostly flies in the face of that strategy. With recent pressure from Microsoft, Tencent, and others, it seems that Sony is only accelerating its plans to bolster its internal studios. Last week, this story was developing and I wasn't really sure where it was going to land, and although we don't have a ton of answers still, let's go ahead and dive in now. Okay. Gran Turismo 7, the latest entry in Sony's storied racing franchise, released on March 4th to great critical reception. The game currently sits at an 87 Metacritic score. That's all fine and good, but Sony pulled the infamous "we'll add microtransactions on launch day and not include them during the early review period" maneuver. So, upon release date, fans were eager to see just how the purchasing of credits, Gran Turismo's currency, would affect the gameplay loop and the grind for better cars. First of all, users swiftly identified that some of the exact same cars, which could be purchased in Gran Turismo Sport, cost more credits in Gran Turismo 7, with some cars costing 8 times as much. With eyebrows raised, fans decided to do what any self-respecting gamer would do: grind out the best races for rewards and then buy cars without having to dip into their PSN wallet. Then, late last week, Polyphony Digital, the game's developer, patched GT7 so that those very same races which players were using to grind for credits had been nerfed so that they doled out fewer credits upon winning. What's more is that on Friday, the game's servers were down for over 30 hours. This might not be a big deal, except that Gran Turismo 7 has always online DRM, meaning that if the game's servers are down, the game is completely unplayable. This has stirred the fan base into an angry mob, and what do angry mob gamers do? They review bomb the game, of course. Sitting next to the prestigious 87 Metascore sits an astounding 1.6 user score. For reference, this user score is lower than the recently released and highly botched Battlefield 2042. As a longtime GT fan, this story didn't at first grab me. Grinding for the best cars is kind of standard fare in Gran Turismo games. But this case does seem rather egregious, and even though I've not played the game yet, I'm really interested to see how Sony and Polyphony handle this backlash of negative news. Eager to move on from Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt Red announced on Monday that the newest entry in the Witcher series is in development. CDPR will be moving on from their proprietary Red engine and have struck up a deal with Epic to license Unreal Engine 5. On the official Witcher website, CDPR says the deal, quote, covers not only licensing but technical development of Unreal Engine 5 as well as potential future versions of Unreal Engine where relevant. We'll closely collaborate with Epic Games' developers with the primary goal being to help tailor the engine for open world experiences, end quote. CDPR went on to assuage fans' fears by explaining that the Epic partnership does not mean that the new Witcher game will be exclusive to a particular storefront, such as the Epic Games Store. Once again, CD Projekt Red has announced their game entirely too early, so we'll be on the lookout for the next Witcher game in 2028. This week, one of the most important industry events has finally reconvened in San Francisco. The Game Developers Conference has long been a breeding ground for burgeoning indies behind closed-door meetings with various deals being inked and collaborations coming together. Talent from all over the world came together for a variety of panels, lectures, and demos. One highlight from the show was a new trailer showing off the latest and greatest tech for the popular Unity engine. Titled Enemies, the video demonstrated some of Unity's new features, including a skin attachment system on the GPU to allow for high-density meshes such as peach fuzz, more realistic eyes with caustics on the iris, a new skin shader, and tension tech for blood flow simulation and wrinkle maps, eliminating the need for a facial rig for fine details. As you can see, the results are absolutely stunning. When you take into account Epic's aforementioned Unreal Engine 5 and this new version of Unity, us gamers are going to be quite spoiled for years to come. After more than 5 years on the market, Nintendo has finally given fans the absolute best feature from 2008, folders. That's right, the Big N is being extra generous with providing us a way to collect and sort games however we deem fit. Now, of course, Nintendo didn't want to blow your minds by allowing users to add folders to the actual home screen. Instead, Switch owners must navigate all the way to the right to find all software. From this menu, you can tailor your folders to your heart's content. It wouldn't be Nintendo if they just added features the way we expected, so maybe we'll get folders on the home screen for the Switch 2's launch. And finally today, a quick roundup of game announcements. First off, IllFonic, the developer behind Friday the 13th the Game and Predator Hunting Grounds, has announced a brand new 4v1 multiplayer game. Sticking with licensed IP, Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed is the new title, and it features gameplay akin to those aforementioned games. IllFonic will be self-publishing the game when it releases in Q4 2022 for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Recently, rumors have been circulating that Rocksteady's much-anticipated new game Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has been delayed. On Wednesday, the game's creative director Sefton Hill made it official. Quote, "We've made the difficult decision to delay Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League to spring 2023. I know a delay is frustrating, but that time is going into making the best game we can. I look forward to bringing the chaos to Metropolis together. Thanks for your patience." Alright guys, that's it for this edition of the Dear Listeners Newsroom. If you liked what you saw today, please hit that like button below. Subscribe to the TRG YouTube channel. You can follow me over on Twitter at Doug's Vest. You can follow the Reformed Gamers at TRG Podcasts. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the news. We'll see you next week.